Yo, what is up, everybody? Yo, check it out. After 5-6 years, if you count the A7S III, Sony has finally did it. Do you remember the FX3 was announced back in February of 2021? A year before that, it was the Sony A7S III. And ever since then, filmmakers, content creators, they've all been asking the same question, like, when is Sony gonna finally update it? When is Sony gonna drop something? When are we gonna get something new? Well, today is that day. The brand new Sony FX5 is finally here. But here's the question. Will I actually be ordering one? Let's talk about it. Let's talk that talk. What's up, everybody? It is your boy Brandon. Yo, welcome back to the channel, man. We got a lot to talk about, man. Yo, today after this video, because I know there's a lot of FX5 videos out there. A lot of people got the FX5, you know, a lot of people talking about what it has and what it don't have, and if they're gonna get it and if they're gonna get it. Listen, you guys know me. As a Sony Pro, I'm gonna keep it 100% with you because I am going to answer every question that you might have. From owning other cameras, to the market, to competition, to everything that's on your mind, because I know a lot of you guys are still on the fence about if I should, if I shouldn't, should I upgrade, should I not upgrade, should I just keep what I got, should I not keep what I got. Now, the FX3, of course, it quickly became Sony's most successful cinema camera. By YouTubers, wedding videographers, commercials, content creators, documentary filmmakers, solo creators, even got to be in a movie. The problem is not that the FX3 wasn't good. The problem was it stayed the same while the rest of the industry, the rest of the market actually kept moving. That was the problem that a lot of us had. Sony, since those days, got A7R5, A7R6, the A1 Mark II, the Burano, we got some Venice updates, we got a better AI autofocus, we got some better processors. Yet, the FX3 and the A7S III remain largely unchanged, except for firmware. So, Sony instead came out with the FX2, which I am definitely not going to talk about. That was a fail. But did Sony now listen to a lot of the things, a lot of the ideas, a lot of the improvements that a lot of us Sony content creators, YouTubers, photographers, videographers, did they actually listen to some of the things that we really wanted? Let's talk about some of the new features that this thing got. So, price tag for a amazing $48.98, or I think $5,600 if you include the top handle. What do you get with the new Sony FX5? Well, Brandon, I'm glad you asked. We got the XR2 Bionics processor, all right, that we saw in one of our previous new cameras that just came out. It has a triple base ISO. This is one of the things that I said it definitely had to have. I said that in another video. 800, 4,000, 12,800. It has internal RAW. Now, on my other cameras, I don't use it as much because the file sizes are really big when you shoot in RAW. Well, that's one of the advantages of the new FX5, and we're going to get into that in just a little bit as well. It does have in-body stabilization. New FX5 features the new NPSA 100 battery. Now, you've probably seen this battery on the new A7R6 that came out, and it does improve the battery life, and it does improve the overall shooting experience for the camera itself. So now, although we have a 16.6 megapixel sensor, a lot of people was looking for something just a little bit bigger. Coming from a lot of our cameras that all of our video cameras that have a 12 megapixel sensor in it, right? A lot of people feel like that is a incremental update, kind of similar to the A7R5 going to the A7R6. The A7R5 has a 61 megapixel sensor in it, and then you give us the A7R6 that has a 67 megapixel sensor in it. They gave us about a 5 megapixel increase, right, on that camera. Now they're doing that same incremental update again. FX5 that has a 16 megapixel sensor in it. I'm not saying that it's a bad or good thing, but it's still that incremental adjustment that a lot of people have an issue with. I would have felt better with something like a 19 megapixel sensor in it, right? 21 megapixel sensor would have justified a lot of this. But going from 12 to 16, a lot of people don't feel like that was enough. All right, more on that later. Let's move right along. Now let's talk about something that a lot of us have waited for on our camera. OpenGate. We finally have OpenGate. Yes, Sony gave us 5K 60 and OpenGate recording. It is available. I think this is the first time on our FX line or cinema lines that we've ever had OpenGate. But now we have OpenGate, which allows a lot more flexibility for content creators and videographers and things of that nature. So that gets us more into producing, more into the market, more of a competitive nature to kind of plant our foot in the community with the rest of the world right now. So definitely great. And I like using OpenGate because you have this sensor, but you can't use the entire width of the sensor on a lot of cameras because they don't shoot OpenGate. So if you have the ability to use your entire sensor, you're paying for that entire sensor, right? So if you have the ability to use your entire sensor, then why not use it, all right? Regardless of how you're framing, reframing, social media, any other type of post, you can do that when you shoot OpenGate. And I have been using OpenGate. I love OpenGate. I shoot OpenGate on my C50. Big shout out, check mark for Sony for that as well. Now, the internal RAW, this is huge. This is huge for video and content creators as well, but definitely for a lot of professionals. I love it. It was on the Venice, I believe, and it was also on a Burano, right? But here on the FX5, now we have the LT, we have the compressed versions as well, which is the C1 and C2 recordings. Moving right along, let's talk about finally what I've been complaining about for years. We got some new monitoring tools, y'all. We finally, for the first time ever in Sony history, we have false color. Yeah, we have false color. Listen, man, I shoot S-Log 2. I don't feel like there's another monitoring tool that I love using when I use S-Log 2 than false color. I love using false color, man. I love it. It really helps me to really nail my color, my skin tones, all of those things, and make sure my exposure is right and is properly set. I love using false color. But also with false color, we also have waveform, we have vector scope. So big shout out to them for finally adding to false color, man. Now this is the point in the video where things get a little bit more critical. All right, unlike other content creators, I'm going to be completely and straight up honest with you. Starting with this, is it worth the upgrade? And as a Sony shooter for a very long time, this is where my professional opinion comes in to play. Is it worth the upgrade? Absolutely. It is 100% worth the upgrade. The FX5 is 99% better than the A7S III and the FX3. Hands down, 100%. They don't even compare to the specs and everything about this camera. Everything from the screen, the new 3.5-inch screen, to the 5K, to the internal RAW, to the new battery, to, I mean, it's night and day. And you can expect that, of course, because we haven't had a video camera in over 6 years. So what do you think? Why would you even think that they would not even be worth the upgrade? Adding video specs to a camera is much easier than adding photography specs, especially if you haven't put anything on the market in over 6 years. So of course it's gonna be better. It's way better. Here's a second question I want to address with you guys. It's gonna make you think a little bit. Is the FX5 enough? Did Sony do enough with this camera? All right, now here is where things get tricky. If you are a Sony shooter like me, if you have been in this ecosystem for a very long time, shooting both video and photography, to Sony shooters and to Sony content creators, to Sony users, to Sony professionals, this camera is godly, basically. Because you got to understand, we haven't had a camera like this in a very long time. 6 years is a long time to just shoot 4K in low light and have no other video specs while the rest of the market is moving on to 7K, 8K, 6K, all of these things, while you're stuck on the same 4K sensor camera that you had since 2020. Right? That's the reason why a lot of Sony shooters feel like this is amazing, I'm getting it, it's enough, my money's already down, I've already pre-ordered it, because we know what we're used to shooting with. However, is it enough compared to the market and what's on the market? No. I'm gonna name 3 cameras right now on the market. I can name a lot more, but I'm gonna name 3 cameras on the market right now that are killing the game. The Nikon ZR, all right? You're talking about a $2,200 camera that shoots red RAW, and it has an adapter that you can adapt all your Sony lenses to and still use that camera, right? But it is an amazing camera and it's only $2,200. And it shoots 6K, all right? It is a great camera. It is a really, really good camera. It has a really good battery life too. Now, the Panasonic S1 II. I know a lot of content creators out there right now who use the Panasonic S1 II that shoots all of their video. It is absolutely amazing. It shoots 6K. It shoots open gate. It is phenomenal. It is great, and it has a credible IBIS. Is the FX5 better than the S1 Mark II? And then we have the Canon C50. Is the FX5 better than the Canon C50? The Canon C50 does everything. It shoots 7K. It shoots open gate. It shoots internal RAW. It shoots, you can do simultaneous crop recording on it. It has a lot of features. What I feel is that Sony did enough for Sony shooters, for the Sony market. A lot of other cameras on the market right now, I don't think it compares. Now here's another problem. All of these other cameras are shooting 6K and 7K. You know how long it took me to try to find a camera that only shoots 5K? You know what camera that I found that shoots only 5K? GoPro. GoPro shoots 5.3K. I don't think they did enough to compete with the market. And I honestly don't really even know if they care. A lot of these orders are gonna come from Sony shooters because they've waited so long for some type of updated camera. Now, another issue that I found with the FX5 and from people who are using it is that
all right, the question is, how does it feel to reboot every time you change frame rates? I'm gonna keep it real. Let's do it right now. You know me. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I'm not brainwashed. So let's see how it feels. So let's just go into the menu right here. Let's go to project and let's go down to record format and let's go from 23 to 30. Execute. It is rebooting 2, 3, 4. So maybe about 5 seconds to fire up and reboot. That's not fun. I'm gonna keep it real. I don't like that, but let's check the FX6. So on the FX6 over here, if I go into the menu and let's just say I want to change the recording format as well. Let's just go from 30 to 24. Execute. It is rebooting as well. So I didn't even really pay attention to that too much because my FX6 does that. But I think with, you know, these more advanced cameras and all these different things going on. But that, I'm gonna keep it a buck. That's not fun. That's not something that I like. So it don't feel nice. I know that with the FX3, if I want to change my frame rate, I just come over here and I have a hotkey. I can just hit 60, boom, I'm in 60 just like that.
When you switch things, you switch codecs, when you switch color profiles, when you do a lot of switching in the camera, it takes time. It's not a very fast camera. It's not like having the FX2 or the FX3. You know, you can go into things, change things, you know where everything is at, you're good to go. You're gonna fumble a little bit because it's gonna take some time to get used to. Now, again, to some people, that's not a big deal. But it's just understanding and noting that it's not like the menu systems that we have. It's a different menu system. So understand that, take that into consideration. The other question a lot of people kept asking is it overpriced? It's like in true Sony fashion, they don't give you the top handle, which again, by the way, you get 32-bit flow width. Thank you for that. But why not include the top handle? Top handle comes with the Canon C50. And it's still priced at $38.99, and it's 7K. I also think that shooting 5K and 4K is just too close together. Like, can you, when I shoot 5K and then I shoot 4K and I put them both on a timeline, are you really going to be able to see a difference between 5K and 4K? Shooting 7K on this camera and then shooting 4K, I get 100% you can see a difference. On the Panasonic S1 II, shooting 6K and then shooting 4K, you can see a difference. But what's my opinion about the FX5, man? You guys know I've been really critical about the incremental stuff that Sony's been doing. So I think, again, for Sony users, it's going to make people want to really, Sony shooters as well, really, to get out there and start creating again. I pre-ordered it yesterday. We was able to do, you know, content creators and things. We was able to do some things already. I don't know, after seeing it, not necessarily seeing it, but after everything about it and again, some incremental things and only being able to shoot 5K, I don't know if I'm going to keep my, I don't know if I'm going to keep it. Yeah, I think I'm going to cancel my pre-order, dog. Again, big shout out for Sony, man. They came through. They did a few things. All right. I'm not going to say that this camera is the end all be all, because it definitely has a lot of shortcomings and it's only 5K. I feel like they could have did a lot more. After 6 years of waiting and planning, the only thing that you can come up with is a 5K camera that only shoots in 5K and open gate. That's the best you could do. You guys tell me what you guys think in the comments, man. I'm not gonna hold you no longer. Again, big shout out to Sony, man. I love you guys. We still here. We still good. Until next time, man. This is your boy Brandon. We out of here. Peace out.